Hey, white people, we've been quiet enough, don't you think? How many more white couples have to be beat down before we step up? I'm curious. Why are we not making noise? I get it. We're not like those ghetto people who have to be loud and obnoxious and, put on a big fucking theatrical scene. I get that. But maybe we should. Maybe we should make some noise. Maybe we should take matters into our own hands. Because obviously nothing is changing. It's only getting worse, as you can tell by the couple in Cincinnati. I'll tell you what, when I go to the party, I'm definitely bringing my own stuff. And I guarantee you, it's going to be louder than the rest.
All right, let's address this and let's put things in its proper perspective. Right is right and wrong is wrong. Now, I've been a huge advocate against what is wrong and a huge advocate for what is right. What does that mean? Is that I am an equal accountability smoke giver. I hold white people accountable. I hold black people accountable. I hold men accountable. I hold women accountable. I just address things based off of my moral compass and not even based off of race. I rock with people based off of the content of their character, not the color of their skin. I don't believe that anybody, including the alphabet community, should have privilege one above the other, and that they change the dynamics of how we see things and how we treat them outside of anything other than how they are expected to act and how they carry themselves and how they treat other people and so on and so forth. So, with that being said, multiple different things is true. Yep, I do think that it was wrong for them to monkey stomp and pound that dude into oblivion in Cincinnati, and we very much are going to have that conversation tonight on After Hours. I also think that it was egregious and it was wrong for several different things that happen in society. It's bad when black people do stuff to white people. It's bad when white people do stuff to black people. But let's be very, very clear, right? And it's idiots like this that really, really get my blood boiling because even though I think that black people have been running into victim Olympics, not even black people, ninjas and people in black culture, because it's cultural issues, and there are phenomenal black people just like there are phenomenal white people. It's idiots like this that instead of addressing the issue, they saying, well, we need to act like them or we need to start a race war. And I'm not for that. I don't believe that anybody should have their hands put on them. And anybody that does, I believe personally that they should be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. And at the same time, I'm not an advocate for violence. I'm not an advocate for anything other than peaceful protesting, which I think that protesting is stupid, as we've seen from so many different people, including black people protesting Black Lives Matters. The reason that that was super dumb is because it continued to push us backwards 100 years by people running in the Victim Olympics. And then you had white apologists that continued to want to be a part of something that wound up being exposed as a fraud and a scam. And several different black women were under duress as a result of it. And shout out to Candace Owens. I got to give her credit where credit is due. She is one of the people that called it first, and people called her crazy. And then on the flip side, it's funny because I always, when something happens, if it just so happens to be a white person to do something against a black person, I call out the behavior on an individual level, but then I advocate for the idea that people should not be up in arms and making everything racial. I remember the whole Austin Metcalf and Carmelo Anthony situation where I am adamantly against the whole idea of making it a race thing, but because people take sides and people are so tribal, everybody go into their respective corners and they start to feel some type of way, and they never even bring themselves back to the front of the congregation when they're proven to be wrong. When you support something or when new evidence shows itself, people just move on and they act like they never did it in the first place. But I was a huge advocate for the idea, hey, wait till the evidence come out, but based off of public perception and based off of what I'm seeing, that boy did not deserve to die. There's no reason why he should have lost his life. While you had people continuing to stoke the whole racial thing, the racial divide, by picking sides and saying, well, the guy got what he asked for and that he should have lost his life because he was somehow, some way bullying the boy. And I'm like, man, this is insane and this is absolutely crazy. And regardless of whether or not people should or shouldn't, and regardless of whether or not this one was right or wrong and wrong and right, the whole idea that people continue to divide themselves, if that was a black kid and a black kid, nobody would trip about it. If it was a white kid and a white kid, nobody would trip about it. But because it was a black kid and a white kid, then everybody made a huge problem about it because we so racially divided. I know about the whole situation with the return of the land group, and I think that those guys should be able to segregate themselves and go and live in the Ozarks of Arkansas if you want to. And I don't really want to milk goats, and I don't really care to go and invade on or include myself or have to feel like I need to be a part of the diversity, equity, and inclusion task force for what you paid for. If you're buying the land and you decide that you want to remove yourself, not make sure you impose your will on other people, then I don't have any problem with that. I think it's dumb. I think it's stupid simply because, to remove yourself from culturally anybody else when you can learn from them or interact with them, I think it's crazy, but it's your human right and you're not hurting anybody. And I'm absolutely against black people deciding that they want to encroach on them when they're not bothering nobody. And again, it's different when they impose themselves on other people, which is one of the reasons why I am very much against what the alphabet community does, because they continue to try to impose their will on other people and other cultures. Whereas if you remove yourself, that is your God-given right, and it is a right within the United States of America for you to self-segregate. It's no problem with that. Again, I think that it's dumb, but I don't think it's anything wrong because they're not hurting nobody and they're not, you know what I'm saying? They're not messing up nobody's lives. And so my point is this, though. When I seen black people mad at it, it's like, why you mad? You ain't never even been to the Ozarks. What difference do it make? People are making bad decisions, in my opinion, across the board. And when we see something happen, our natural inclination, because of the history of how people interacting with each other, and the fact that we won't just completely ignore it. And Morgan Freeman was right. In order for you to solve for this, you got to stop talking about it because everything ain't racial. He imposes will on this person, he's wrong. He imposes will on this person, and he's wrong. This couple got stomped out in Cincinnati. I think that they're wrong. Did he put his hands on him first? Probably it was wrong. Did it warrant his chick getting beat up and him stomped out in Cincinnati? Absolutely not. But my point is this. When you see people, and I understand it, I get it, because black people have created an environment in our most recent times in which they've been so divided and racial, and everything is about white people, and the devil is in white people, and Trump is a fascist, and all of this nonsense they keep spewing, that they're basically pushing people to the edge. But the one thing that I'm never going to support, and the one thing that I'm never going to stand for, is anything with regard to a war, especially as it results in a race war. And when I see idiots like this, who I don't think is intelligent either, I don't think that this woman has a row of marbles in her head when she's talking this nonsense. And the first clue of the fact that she don't know what she's talking about is she's wearing apparently a work uniform, looks like some kind of scrubs or whatever for whatever job that she does. I don't know if she knows that it's easy to find out who she is and where she works, which I'm not a fan of doxing either. However, I can't control the internet, and when people say stuff like this and they make it known what it is that they feel on a public platform, all you do is make yourself a target. And so I know she's an idiot. But my point is that I think that saner heads need to prevail, and people need to come back to their senses, and we need to stop being so emotional, and people need to stop crashing out. And it really is not that deep. Honest to God, it really ain't that deep. We making a situation much bigger than it needs to be. It's not that deep. We need to chill out, and people need to come together and come to the conclusion that you're never going to solve for the majority of the negative people, and that does not necessarily it's not necessarily a reflection on the rest of us. Let me know what y'all think inside of the comments. Make sure y'all tap into the Patreon link is in the description. Teach handling 40% off your first order plus 20% off for life. I love you. I appreciate you. I'm going to holler at you guys later. Peace.